Today I'm going to be talking about an astral projection experience I had just a little while ago. Basically how it happened, I was lying in my bed like usual, and I usually project in the morning because it's easier for me, usually earlier, like about 7 a.m. or so. And so I woke up and then I fell back asleep, and then I just kind of rode that wave of staying awake and falling asleep and kind of just dipped in and out a couple times. And then at one point I just thought about projecting, and then I was able to project, so I kind of just skipped the vibrational stage, skipped the, the high-pitched screech and everything, all like that. So basically I just skip all the stages by doing this, and I'm just able to leave my body. So I leave my body, and I don't know why I always do this, but I always like roll off my bed, but I roll off like face first into the ground. So I'm always like and I'm like on the floor. I'm always like lying on the floor. It's like I can't just float up and leave. So I'm lying on the floor and I'm like crawling towards my steps, and I can feel the ground is nice and cold, and I can feel my carpet, and everything's just super real. And usually at this point I'm always thinking like, am I actually astral projecting, or did I just get out of bed and am I just lying on the floor like a fool? But anyway, so I get to the stairs and I can't see at this point, but once I get to the bottom of the stairs, then I like ask for clarity and I ask for sight, and then like boom, I'm able to see. So I jump up to the first landing, and at this point I kind of jump and I'm almost like, I weigh less. I'm not flying, but I'm kind of like jumping longer. And at this point I'm like, okay, this isn't physically possible, so I'm projecting. So I go upstairs, and my whole goal was I want to be somewhere else other than my current city. So I go to my door and I'm willing and I'm intending to be somewhere else other than here. So I open my door, and to my dismay I'm like, oh, I'm super disappointed because it's the exact same as I remember it, which is weird because it actually wasn't where I actually live, but it seemed like it was just familiar in my consciousness. Like I was disappointed that it was familiar, even though it was a different place. So I opened the door, and right off the bat, everything kind of like the positioning of things was the same. Like my porch was here, like the walkway, the road was here, and like there's an intersection. I live on a corner. I live on my house is on a corner, and so there's a road that goes this way. Everything like that was the same, but it was summertime, and right now it's wintertime, and it's like negative 20 degrees, and there's snow freaking everywhere. In my projection, it was summertime, and it was nighttime, which is weird because the sun would have been rising at this point. And there were like, I was walking down my walkway, and everything was concrete, which is weird because my porch is wooden. So I'm walking down my walkway, and there's like trees on either side. Everything's just really pretty. Everything's really serene and peaceful. So I walk down my walkway, and in my mind I'm like, okay, well, I want to see an entity, or I want to meet an entity. So I think about this, and I walk down my walkway, and I turn down the street to go down this street, and I remember everything, like I said, it was nighttime, but I could see perfectly. There were actually no streetlights outside, but despite this, I was able to see just perfectly fine. So I walked down the street. Another thing I noticed was that the ground was wet, as if it just rained, but it wasn't raining. Anyway, so I walked down this street. So I walked down this street, this street here, and with the thought in my mind that I want to meet other entities. And as soon as I turned down the street, I noticed kids playing, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting, but they seemed of human form and everything. So I'm walking towards them, and they notice me, and it seems like they recognize me, and they're like running towards me, and they're like, hi Dad! And I'm like, I'm just thinking, since my consciousness is in this lifetime and I can't remember my other lifetimes, perhaps these are children from another plane of existence or something. I don't really know. I'm still trying to come up with a theory as to why they called me Dad and why I did not recognize them. But anyways, they were playing basketball, they're all having fun. So my whole goal after this point was to hug people. Oh, so nice, I know. So I walk up to this garage, and I go inside it, and I meet this African American man who's sitting on a bucket. And I go with the full intention to just share love and compassion. I ended up just giving him a high five, but this high five made his life. He just got really happy, and then I got really happy, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I just kind of like give him a high five, and then I leave. And as I'm leaving the garage, I noticed, like, even though I wasn't looking at it, I just knew someone was staring at me from their house. Like, you know how you have a door and then you have like a skinny window beside the door? I just knew he was like over there. So my attention goes like over there, and even though he was like really far away, I can see him as if I was like right here. Like I can see details on his face, and he was just staring at me through this window, just like curious, like who is this being, why is it here? Anyways, I just decided to dismiss that and I start walking back towards my house to go home. So I start walking home and I see the kids playing basketball and their basketball like rolls and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna throw it into the basketball net. So I grab it and it feels like physical matter, like it is so solid and so like detailed. Everything was just so real. And so I'm like, okay, for shits and giggles, I'm actually just gonna throw the ball. I'm not even gonna try to get it into the net. And the whole point of this is I'm just going to will, or I'm going to intend for the ball to go into the net without actually trying and seeing if that has an influence here. So I throw the ball and I'm like, Kobe. Anyway, so I throw the ball and I like stay like this with my hand, like it completely airballs. And I was like, oh my god, that was so embarrassing. The kids just saw me like completely miss the net and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna walk away now. So as I'm walking away, the kids were like, oh my god, he got it in, wow, la la la. He was like, they were going on and on about how I got this basketball in the basketball net. And meanwhile, I saw that it airballed, so I don't know if my will and intention kind of influenced how they viewed the situation. So that was kind of cool. Need to experiment with that a little bit more. So I thought to myself, I want to work on better receiving psychic information, not through my ordinary senses, through like my psychic senses. As soon as I think that, it's like my higher self took over and I just jump straight up into the air, and at this point I'm flying and I'm going like straight up and I'm going up and up and up. And I can see the city and I can see the lights, and I think at one point I can just see the whole world, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. So then I start thinking, where can my mind be in order to receive this psychic information? So I'm like in the clouds at this point and I'm lying horizontally, and suddenly I start spinning like this, and I just see like the clouds and everything. And it is at this point I need to go to this place in order to receive my psychic information. And as I'm thinking about this and receiving psychic information, it's like I closed my eyes and then suddenly, boom, my consciousness was back into my physical body, and that was that. So I met children that I didn't know I had. So that was the end of that projection, and what I learned is that in each of my projections, I never feel the exact same. Like in one projection, I felt like complete static. In another projection, I felt completely weightless and like free to do anything that I want. And another projection, like this most recent one, I felt like it was very difficult to leave my body. It's almost like I was being pulled back by a bungee cord. Like I had a bungee cord wrapped around me and I was trying to like walk away, and there was resistance, like it was like pulling me back. But I managed to get away, and after that certain point of like being away from my physical body, I was able to just like be free. So whatever this is, if it's just like a next level of dreaming, I don't know. From my own experience, I haven't experienced like these other higher dimensions. I haven't gone to anything like unearthly. Everything's kind of just been like here. I'd love to learn how to teleport, because right now I can't and I want to. But anyways, that's the end of the video for today. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and comment down below any of your crazy, amazing astral projection experiences, because I'd love to hear about them. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!